It's another beautiful Saturday in the month of December, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to another edition of Editors Forum. I am Rita, Omodia. And of course, on this program, we get to discuss front burners and topical issues affecting the country in the past 1 week. And of course, this week, the social media platforms went quite bizarre as they witnessed episodic events unfolding the series of controversial reactions. We had different issues on the news space for this week. We had AISHA Buhari's ordeal accusing President Muhammadu Buhari's aides of disloyalty. We also had Shore's issue also topping the charts. We know that last week we saw the release of Shore and of course subsequent detention of him. We also saw the DSS invading the court. Well, in a recent development, we saw that the DSS, or rather SSS, apologized, according to sources, apologized for the court invasion, and recently the case has been handed over to the Attorney General of the Federation, which is also sparking lots and lots of reactions. And due to this court invasion, we know that a popular Nigerian newspaper tagged Buhari's PREFIX as a major general due to the incidences of clashes between President Muhammadu Buhari's administration and of course the observance and obedience to the rule of law. And they said that they would give him another PREFIX, not as president, but rather as a major general. And there were controversies of it being constitutional enough, whether it's been disrespectful or respectful. But the NBA has come out, as the Nigerian Bar Association, came out to say that no law stipulates how to call the president. We also had that the President Muhammadu Buhari nominated new FIRS and AMCON bosses to the list. We also had the Edo APC rally. We know that there's a bit of feud between a former governor of Edo State, and of course national chairman of the APC, OSHIOMHOLE'S, and the present governor, Godwin Obaseki. There was supposed to be a rally to welcome the PDP candidate back into the fold to the APC, Izeyamo, but the governor said that he was not aware, and subsequently the Inspector General of Police banned all political rallies in the state. And yesterday, as report had it, we know that hundreds of youths in Edo State made sure that the planned rally by some factional members of the All Progressives Congress did not hold as stipulated. So all this we'll be discussing in today's edition of Editors Forum. Of course, I am not alone. I have Dr. Dayo Kadi on the show. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Yeah, it's my pleasure, my dear Rita. Some viewers out there ask me that they want to know where you had your voice training, so I need to
Don't worry, they have to meet me personally for that. But I think it's not too early to ask how your Christmas preparations are going through.
Christmas? Not yet on my mind.
Not yet on your mind?
Truly speaking.
Dates like December 14 already.
Yeah, not yet on my mind, because there are a lot of things to think about as regards this our country. So many things going on that some of us that always come around to discuss Nigeria, we've been busy, you know, doing one thing or the other as regarding emerging issues. Okay. You know, okay, look at me here now. While others are out there trying to talk about Christmas and all that, but here we are today.
Don't worry, you're doing service to the nation.
Yes.
Of course, we know that they also operate on AISHA. Last week, we talked about the fact that the case has been transferred to the Kaduna Correctional Centers, and on Thursday, we saw protests calling for the release of AISHA. But let's take a little bit step backward and let's see again what happened during the court invasion for the arrest of Omodia Shore, that's the convener of the Revolution Now movement. We'll be right back.
You cannot kill Shawara! You cannot kill Shawara! You cannot kill him! Look at his face! You cannot kill him! Today, you will not this country belongs to the people. Now they are showing yes. What is important for Nigerians to know is that I am not going to give up. Yes. Until every Nigerian benefits from a country that is theirs. And I've made it very clear. They tried to break me in prison. They sent delegations to me, offering all kinds of, and I refused. And they promised that I would not walk out of their detention alive. So that is what they came here to implement today. Nobody in Nigeria should be afraid. It is our country, and some people have to make the sacrifice for this country to be a country of rule, of law, and of
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're going to Editors Forum exclusive to Galaxy Television. And of course, joining us on the show again is Biodun Showomi. Thank you for joining us on the show.
I'm pleased to be here.
All right, we talked about things we're going to discuss, and we are starting off with Buhari's prefix nomenclature versus the rule of law. Now, a popular Nigerian newspaper says it will now prefix President Muhammadu Buhari's name with his rank as a military dictator in the 80s in all its publications in protest against the rising disregard for the rule of law in his administration. In an editorial entitled Buhari's Lawlessness, Our Stand on Wednesday, the newspaper said it would also refer to the Buhari administration as a regime until it purges itself of contempt for the rule of law. And the presidency reaction attacked the newspaper, accusing it of playing to the gallery and causing confusion. Femi Adesina's reaction suggested that the presidency was unperturbed by the editorial. Hours later, however, another presidential spokesperson, Garba Shehu, released a more lengthy statement attacking the newspaper. It said, and I quote, "Punch newspaper's double standards is coddling some of our past dictators, and their open contempt for President Buhari clearly shows that the paper has sinister motives for its current curious editorial judgment. Its personal hatred for and animus towards President Buhari should not be allowed to becloud its good judgment." Now, aside from that, we also call saying that terming President Muhammadu Buhari with that prefix is unconstitutional and disrespectful. As I said earlier on, the NBA came out to say that there is no rule concerning that. So we'll start with that. And of course, we know that the reason why this newspaper is calling for this prefix is due to the case of Shore, and of course the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky. We would recall that since 2015 he has been in the DSS detention despite several court injunctions calling for his release, just like the case of Omodia Shore. So let's start with you now, Biodun Showomi. What is your reaction to this? Are you for or against this prefix? Do you feel that they went too far or they were right in their own jurisdiction?
Well, if we are to say the truth, this is not the first time we have had a situation where a newspaper will take a position to say, look, we will not use people's titles. That used to be the case with Guardian newspapers in the past. I don't know whether, if you recollect, Guardian was not used to, they took a position not to use the people's titles, chief and all that. But the context was different from this context. At that point in time, it was a principled position of Guardian newspaper. Okay. Also on this occasion is a principled position of Punch newspaper. But the difference is that Punch is doing this, to protest alleged human rights abuses and disobedience of the rule of law by the current government. Within the context of journalism, within the context of the rule of law, within the context of decency, I think Punch is taking a subtle part to encourage the government, to obey, court orders, and also calling attention to the excesses of the DSS in the case of Showore. So within that context, I think Punch is correct. What you see is the way we are reacting to it. I'm saying we, because the federal government represents us all. The spokesperson of the presidency need not engage Punch in issues that are very clear that quite a lot of people within the country actually will back Punch for that. And secondly, they also need to have considered the fact that government should be seen to be obeying court orders, should be seen to be respecting rule of law. Government should be seen to be protecting citizens' rights, not to violate them. And all those have, you know, currently they are now subject to discussions at the international arena. Increasingly, we are seeing legislators both within the EU and also in the United States, including some African countries, expressing some concerns, particularly about Showore's case. Government reaction to that is not to pledge sovereignty. You know, of course, everybody knows each country is sovereign. We also know that there is what they call international relations, which is about national interest of individuals. We've seen how in the past intransigence on the part of the presidency had led to huge problems, you know, for our military to procure equipment which we don't even produce at all, which are necessary to combat terrorism, you know, to secure our country. For instance, the United States, you know, under Jonathan, for so many years refused to sell arms to us due to what they perceive to be human rights violations. So, therefore, it is in our own national interest, within the context of international diplomacy, to ensure that government is responding positively to criticisms. And this is what I think we are lacking currently. Okay. The spokespersons for the country or for the president needs to be seen to be reacting, not to be combating, particularly when they are not in opposition.
Okay, with regards to international diplomacy, we're supposed to be in a democratic system of government. Don't you think that this prefix is going to cause quite a confusion?
No, what you see is the fact of the matter is if they use the prefix without, you know, the suffix, then there's a problem. That is, if you say Major General Muhammadu Buhari, that would be absolutely wrong. Okay. Because he's retired. You have to say Major General Muhammadu Buhari, RTD retired. Okay. A soldier, retired or not, can be recalled at any point in time to serve the country. And these are very gallant officers who have laid down their lives to save the country. And I'm sure our president is so proud of the military title, you know, and he has made so much noise about it. And that, in fact, was the basis of his qualification to be president. So I do not see why the president would disagree with the use of Major General retired. I think the issue is not that. The issue is actually regime. Yes. That is the major problem.
They also call the administration a regime. Yes.
That is the major problem. The moment you use regime, the connotation, what people perceive from the word regime is authoritarianism, dictatorship, military rule. And those are the things the government is actually worrying about. It's not actually about Major General. President Muhammadu Buhari is proud of his military background, but that is the problem.
Okay, thank you very much. You talked about the newspaper being right in their own jurisdiction. I'll go back to you, Dayo Kayode. What is your own reaction to all this?
Yeah, you see, I want to base my own submission on the concept of cause and effect analysis, which can also be seen as action and consequences analysis.
All right.
So let us also first of all drop that. All right. But for Punch to come out with their own statement, yeah, very right. But my own point of argument about Punch is the timing is very, very wrong.
Okay, why?
The timing. It is not today that we have been seeing series of human rights abuses in this government.
Okay.
And if you go back to some of your clips of my presence here, you will see that I have been very, very vociferous as regards what should be done as per this government. As regards El Sazaki, what's his name? This military man, Dasuki.
Okay.
The other guy that was saying Ayade should come up with his accountability in the south. Do you understand that they should be released? But why is it that Punch did not come out at that point in time to take a stand? Why is it because of Showore now that is now coming out to take a stand?
Could it be that it's the peak of the moment? That is why.
No. Why should that Showore should be the peak of the moment? As far as I'm concerned, Showore issue, if you go back to the beginning, the history, it is what we call action and consequences. Listen, let me ask you, let me put this across to you. As we are now, we are friends. We discuss issues here. With this, my brother, we discuss issues here. We all go out and we smile, we laugh at each other. That means we are friends. If tomorrow comes and we decide to fall apart, and I'm coming with a knife, say, my brother, I am coming to shoot you, and with all intents and purposes, if find out that I was coming to shoot him, and he is having a gun, the person having a knife now is Showore, the person having the gun now is the federal government. You having a gun, what will you do? You will first of all blow his whatever. You will incapacitate him with your gun so that you will never, even, excuse me, sir, even in the constitution,
okay,
you can defend yourself in terms of when somebody is coming to attack you. You have to defend yourself first.
Wait, let's get it clear.
I'm coming, excuse me. Now I'm coming. This is somebody who had wined and dined with this person government when they were in the opposition. He was the one saying, what was his name now? Our former president is this.
Goodluck Jonathan.
Goodluck Jonathan is a don, is a that, is a this, with Lai Mohammed. Using some of these newspapers. Some of these newspapers are even carrying it. That tomorrow, yes, petroleum will be 45 naira. I don't know why there is subsidy. This is a fraud. At the end of the day, these people, they won the election based on all those thoughts. All right? Moving further, between you and me, one of them, who is a son today, was being put forward to become the SGF. He was not given. We had his name. We were reading his name that, oh, this guy is coming as the... Do you understand? He was not given. Now, this guy now decided to come and contest against that particular government that they were together before. You lost the election. We were in a democratic setting, for goodness sake. Okay. For crying out loud. You now went after losing the election. How many thousand votes was even able to gather? He went outside. Even though I didn't agree with the government for labeling IPOD a terrorist organ, I never agreed. But this is an organization that has been labeled terrorist by the sitting government. You now went out. You now put it on the social media. You had a meeting with this, you had a meeting with that. You even have the effort to put the pictures on the social media. Please, I'm sorry, sir. Excuse me, sir.
I think
you will take your time. I allowed you now, sir. I allowed you.
All right, it's okay. Go on.
My senior fellow, please, sir. Do you understand? This guy now came. You now started revolution now, and then you were now talking about day of rage. By tomorrow, there won't be this, there won't be that. Nobody will ever sit down and allow that to happen in the democratic setting. It is nothing but felony. How can you be saying that? Now, okay, when he was arrested, they went to court. Court now said, okay, release him. I think on this platform too, I also told the federal government, release this guy. Court has given him bail. He has satisfied bail conditions. But they refuse releasing him. Not only him, even El Zazaki, even Dasuki, even my brother in the South, who was asking for accountability of a particular government. Nobody was talking. Release this guy. And they didn't release. But the day they now released him, they went to court. And I don't think I also supported the way DSS behaved. All right? But that is not for punch. So now, that means Chowore's actions, why is having that effrontery, is because some people out there are now trying to use it to get what they couldn't get through democracy.
I like your... Sorry, hold on.
Sorry, one more point. Sorry, 1 second.
Okay.
What is Punch saying now as he got an already convicted, who is now in prison, senator, that will not be taking our salary? What are they talking about that. What are they talking about? Thousands of people that have been retrained in Ekiti State University. What are they talking about it? Why is it Showore issue?
Okay, I understand that you've talked about a lot of intricacies and of course your own assumptions and analysis. But now the action of the DSS in court,
yes,
is it justified? Because this is what brought about this issue.
Yes. You see, when you're talking about actions of DSS in court, in the first instance, I said it here, that DSS acted unprofessionally. No doubt about it. DSS acted unprofessionally. DSS might be having some other issues, some other points to arrest Showore, because it is not in the constitution that when you have been granted bail and you have been released, that you cannot be rearrested. You can still be rearrested, but not to the extent. But then we should also be mindful of something. When Showore was in court, the proceedings of Showore, at the judge had finished with the proceedings of Showore. Another proceeding was already taking place in court. Showore was already outside the courtroom. Perhaps we should let people know the difference between between the courtroom and court premises. They are two different things.
So are you saying that the DSS did not invade the courtrooms?
It was within the court premise. We all saw the video.
But we saw a video. I would like to correct that.
When he was to be arrested outside the courtroom, we all saw him running back to the courtroom to disrupt the ongoing process.
I understand that you said he went out, but they entered the courtroom and tried to arrest him. Did they or did they not?
Well, I said we watch
we have that clip.
I said we have the clip again.
We have that clip and that was what happened. Quickly, let me hear from you.
Look, it's quite unfortunate that we have found ourselves at a juncture in this country and people will watch clips of what happened inside the courtroom and describe it as inside the court premises. It's quite unfortunate.
Now you have to allow me. You have to allow me.
You could not have done better than the spokesperson of the SS. That is the point. You allow me. In the first instance, condemning Punch.
I'm not condemning Punch.
Rejecting Punch's position, or whichever way you view it, or pouring venom on it, is quite unfortunate. Because the major issue is this: Punch is protesting against violation of the courts.
The timing. I'm talking about the timing now.
Hang on a minute. Punch is protesting against violations of court orders.
Yes.
Protesting against the invasion of court premises, which we all saw. Not only that, Punch is protesting that the government increasingly is refusing to obey court orders. It is not about Showore. They are about what we all stand for. Why has it not happened during Elzazaki? We all saw what happened to Elzazaki here. Excuse me.
Let's hear from what happened to Dr. Dayo, please.
I kept quiet for you. Look, the fact of the matter is, Punch took a position. They have the right to take a position. Punch is an organization. It's part of the Fourth Estate, realm of estate. So therefore, they have a right to take a position like any other person to protect the fundamental human rights enshrined in our constitution. There is no doubt that even the DSS is increasingly warming up to the idea that they have committed excesses. We have heard about how they have apologized to the judge. We have even seen the federal government trying to take over the case through the Attorney General of the Federation, knowing that this thing is becoming a major problem for them. So for anybody to sit here and start pontificating on what they perceived to be ill timing of Punch, what ill time? What is the best time? Is he the one to tell Punch when to respond, to take a position? Or will somebody tell me of when to take a position? The idea that people condemn Jonathan over fuel subsidy issue, I was also part of it. There are so many Nigerians that took positions at that time, and that does not derogate from the fact that some of us even campaigned for the BUHARI'S regime. Those are statements of fact. But on a daily basis, you analyze situation and you take position. Punch is correct to have taken a position. whether we like it or not. It's about the fundamental human rights enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that is what Punch is seeking to protect.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dyer.
Right. I never said Punch was not right. I was only talking about the timing.
Viewers argue.
What did they do during El Zazaki?
Thank you very much.
What did they do? What did they do during El Zazaki?
Thank you, Dr. Dayo and Biodun. Please, we'll have a quick break now. We also know about issues. We know that it's not only about Omodia Sowore as the convener of revolution now. We also know that the Punch was about the continuous detention of the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, El Zazaki. Let's take a look, because the protesters now are complaining and once again protesting. We know that due to their protests, we had a lot of demise. We had the police inspector general. We also had a Channels reporter who was shot dead, victims of the Shiite protest. So let's take a look at this report and we'll be right back.
Free, free, Zazaki! Free, free, Zazaki! Sheikh Zazaki!
Ina leader din ko yake?
Sheikh Zazaki!
Ibrahim ya.
We demand justice! Justice! Justice!
Okay.
Ba ma san kama kanya!
Ku dinga wucewa.
Free, free, Zazaki! Free, free, Zazaki!
Daga play cartoon ku daga shi sama. Daga shi.
Welcome back. You're still on to Editors Forum, exclusive to Galaxy Television, and we're talking about President Muhammadu Buhari's prefix by a popular Nigerian newspaper versus the obedience to the rule of law. And we know that the two cases why the Punch newspaper said that they will be calling, or rather referring to the president as a major general, is due to the continuous cases between Sowore and, of course, El Zazaki. And the clip you saw there, you saw the followers calling for the release once again of El Zazaki. And let's not forget that these two cases have gained quite a huge international recognition. We know Iran there during the protest for his release, talking about his release. We also saw that for Sowore. We saw a US senator and his wife also calling for the release of Sowore. And rightly, we are joined now by another Kayode Salako. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And
yes.
I'm sorry for coming late. It was a lot of odop.
All right.
Odops out there.
Okay, so would you, I'm sure you listened to your fellow brother, or rather namesake Kayode, would you also agree with him on his position? We're talking about the Buhari's prefix there by the Punch newspaper.
Well, I am also of the opinion that the Punch newspaper coming out around this time, it is within the purview of the right of the organization to take a stand on any development it feels it is inimical to the survival of our democracy. But the question people are asking out there is this: why now? A lot have happened. A lot of civil society gladiators, agitators have been clamped in detentions around the country. I know that the governor of Cross River State, Ben Ayade, has been holding Agbatalingo for several months now. And that is supposed to be the governor, who is one of the governors who is supposed to uphold the sanctity of our constitution. So many people have been there. I also understand that there was this guy that spent about 40 months in detention. He had a problem with the Nigerian Navy.
Navy captain.
Is that what?
He's a Navy captain.
A Navy captain, yeah. So, a lot of issues. But maybe Punch thought, oh, this has been happening too rapidly, too much.
Yeah.
So let us take a decision now. But I would have expected that position of Punch if it were to be maybe Television Association of Nigeria.
Okay.
Or newspaper.
Or Editors Association of Nigeria, or Editors Guild.
Guild, yeah.
Of Nigeria, or TV Association of Nigeria coming out to take such kind of a position.
But what about the others? What if the others did not agree and they just want to just fine-tune their own way out?
Yeah, that is what makes it their own opinion. I was saying something before you asked me to talk now, that whatever all of us are saying here is within the purview of our own personal opinions. We are only expressing it the way we feel it should be. But what will happen at the end of the day will still happen. The fact that Punch is coming out now is suggesting to me that Punch personally has an issue with this government. That's all. Punch has an unspoken issue with this government, and a lot on the social media, suggesting the problem that Punch has. One of them is that we were told, I read it somewhere on social media, that the money, the $2.1 billion that Suki distributed during that Jonathan's second time election period, that Punch too collected out of it. That Punch collected about $2 billion out of it.
From what source did you hear that?
From social media. I said social media.
Okay.
So that Punch too collected $2 billion out of it, and that Punch has been under the searchlight of EFCC's investigation. I also read it that three of Punch's main bank accounts have been frozen. A lot of speculative reasons are going on why Punch could be coming out to take this type of a position against the government around this time. But the fact remains that in democracy, freedom of expression is allowed.
All right.
Freedom to take position against certain things. And I'm going to say this, that whatever position Punch has taken does not remove President Muhammadu Buhari as the president of Nigeria.
Democratically elected.
It doesn't remove him.
Okay.
The only thing I find wrong about it is that it shouldn't have been only Punch coming out to say they will no longer address the president of Nigeria, a constitutionally elected president of Nigeria, and by virtue of our constitution, the president has been given a title, even if he was a major general before he became the president. The moment he becomes the president and is constitutionally sworn in, the constitution has changed that title from whatever he must have been bearing before now to whatever the constitution is giving to him. And what is the constitution giving to him? The president of the Federal Republic of GCOFR. That is GCOFR. So that is the title the constitution has given to him. Now maybe the Punch organization now has the right to single-handed decide to change it. Maybe that is constitutionally allowed by law or not. That is what I would have preferred. Maybe a body like NBA, Nigerian Bar
Well, they've
Association.
spoken already. They have, and they said there's nothing that the law says against it.
The law says against what?
Against the change. There's nothing against about it.
That is what I'm saying. There is nothing against it. The people can decide to call Buhari whatever they like. But I will continue to call him whatever the Constitution of Nigeria says he should be called. The moment is sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that is President Muhammadu Buhari.
Can I add to
that?
We need to avoid miseducating the public. And I'll give you a very clear example. There is nowhere in the Constitution of Nigeria where it is referred to that whoever is elected must be addressed by the title President or Governor. And I will give you a very close example where we are now, which is Lagos State. When you see the Governor of Lagos State being addressed, you see the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Sanwo-Olu. Let us get that clear. Number two, I have said it earlier before you got here, that Guardian, when Guardian newspaper started publication, they had some, they took some principal stands. They were not taking obituaries, and they were also not referring to people by their titles. So it's not something new. It has been done before. The issue here, which I think upset the federal government, is the idea of using the word regime. Yeah. So irrespective of all the conjunctures, Punch share from Dasuki money doesn't, which in my view are part of the problem we have with social media. If Punch has committed an infraction, let them take them to court. In our own law in Nigeria today, except you are convicted, you are deemed to be innocent. When we now start making conjectures and quoting unsupported conjectures, what we are doing is public trial.
Sorry, 1 second here.
You are trying.
We have to come and analyze public issues.
One issue now, Kayode,
you make references, so what materials can lay your hands on.
Kayode, please.
What is your point?
1 second now. You see, nobody is. Excuse me. Nobody is miseducating the public, because the public also knows whatever we are saying is not for them to listen and then take whatever they want to take.
A lot of the social media.
Thank you.
I'll have to cut you short.
Punch. Why now? Don't Babangida was Punch not existing.
Why now?
Why they call it Babangida president? Babangida.
The previous government.
Who was even the government? I mean,
invaded court premises.
I'm not saying we should
obey court orders, and Punch did not come out then.
Don't come out then.
Why now?
All right, thank you very much, Doctor.
Why not now?
Why not?
Why not now?
That's another question now. Why not now?
That was not answered my own question. Why now?
Why not now?
Why now? Why not now? Intricacies there going on. Of course, we also had news, or rather, the First Lady once again has been talking. This is not the first time, and the person of AISHA Buhari. And this time around, she has been accusing the presidential aides of disloyalty. And she accused the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, of disloyalty to the president. In a personally signed statement, the wife of the president expressed regret that Shehu's failures had caused a great deal of embarrassment to President Buhari. And of course, once again, the social media had a lot of backlash on the statement, saying, a lot of people say, are you for or against the president? And a lot of people say that she should keep quiet. And others will say she has the freedom to express whatever she is doing. And of course, being in the presidency, she knows what is happening there. And this is not the first time she's talking about cabals hijacking the presidency. So I'll start with you, Dr. Dayo. 1 second or 5 minutes. Let's go quickly.
You see, personally, I'm somebody that so much have regards for AISHA Buhari. Because at any point in time, he says it the way it is on our mind. And again, don't forget that he is the wife of the president. She is supposed to be the second half of the president. Even whatever the president wants to do, he's supposed to have consulted her in their bedroom or in the other room. Consulted her.
She said there are no more pillow talks. Continue.
In the other, there's no how there won't be pillow talks, because what God has joined together, not even presidency should separate them. They must use the same pillow and discuss. All right. Now, for some other people to not be saying, because I'm the first cousin to the president, I have this, I have that. You know, it becomes a kind of a show of power. So between you and me, there is nothing happening there other than family issues. All right. This one is the wife of the president. This one is the cousin of the president. The president is there. He has a role to play.
So you are saying it's not a matter of administration now, but family issues?
It is. They are bringing family. All of them are bringing family issue to administration, which is now affecting the psyche even of Nigeria, and is affecting everything concerning Nigeria. Because whenever AISHA speaks and he talks about the other guy, you just look at, who are you? Remember the other time when he said there was nothing in Asolo clinic.
Yeah.
Remember the other time when he said that they are now usurping our powers within the presidency, that they are taking over.
So would you say that her allegations are not true now, and it's just because of family issues she's bringing about these issues?
The allegations are true.
The allegations
that's what because they're saying it's family issues now. That's the reason why she's saying so.
We have to call them to order to know how to sort themselves within.
Okay.
Let's
quickly hear from Biodun first.
Okay, his own view.
Yeah.
Well, in my view, I think the issue is very, very clear. The president, when he was campaigning, in 2015, actually made it clear. So many people read about it. There won't be the office of the first lady and all that.
Yeah.
Which many people applauded him. Whatever the politics or the complexities of the politics going on within the Aso Rock, in my own view, what I see playing out is you now have the office of the First Lady now creeping into it gradually, and then you have a section of the presidency saying, no, hang on a minute, we need to hold on to what the president intended. So then we have the First Lady, AISHA Buhari, now coming out to say, no, I'm going to have to challenge this. That is my power. Where is that power? In the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There is no provision for office of the First Lady. Garba Shehu, as a journalist, is only doing his own job.
Okay.
And I don't see the issue with Mama Daura. The president can call him to order or even drive him away from Aso Rock. The president has a choice to ask anyone to undertake any task on his behalf. He does not need the permission of either AISHA Buhari or myself or yourself, because we have voted him in and given him that power. So I think many of the issues people are talking about, pillow talk and all that, is probably because the president is also insulating himself, from, this is my own explanation, it's not anybody has told me anything, from being pressured on taking some positions. So we have a situation at hand currently, which in my view should not be affecting government. And I think whatever problem AISHA is having, with Mama Daura are better resolved, separately. But the issue of the office of the First Lady, I think the president was right in 2015. And if that is what exactly they are trying to prevent again, I will support them on that.
Okay, now
pray together.
All right.
It doesn't matter. There is no provision. There is no. Look, our governors are doing it. Even local government chairmen are doing it. But we do not have the provision for it. The president is not noted to be spending, recklessly, and then probably he wants to streamline and ensure that he does not stand accused of also appropriating money for the office of the First Lady.
Okay, apart from the issue of the First Lady and, of course, family issues, AISHA went on to accuse Garba of sponsoring media campaign of calumny against her children and herself as part of his latest antics against the Buhari family. The First Lady had on Sunday accused presidential aides and other government appointees of not doing enough to defend the government of her husband. She vowed to continue talking until right people found their way in leadership position. Now, this is the aides now, she's saying, accusing them of being against Buhari's government.
You see, let me tell you what I know about this issue.
Okay.
As the National Secretary of the Buhari Osinba Domande Group during the last presidential election, that group was actually owned, it was about Mama Daura. That was our Oga. That was his group for the campaign project. I think the issue that the First Lady has been having with the Mama Daura's family is the issue of struggling with that family for supremacy value. And this is about the culture of the North. It is the culture of the North that has been conflicting with the kind of role the wife of the president wants to assume in her husband's government. If you could recollect, during the first 2 years of the president's assumption as the president of Nigeria, the woman was hardly heard. If you could observe, she was quiet, she was relegated to the background. She wasn't allowed to do much or to exercise the right of the wife of the commander-in-chief. And that was the period that problem started with the Mama Daura's family. The Mama Daura's family practically moved into Aso Rock to live inside there, to exercise certain powerful influence in President Muhammadu Buhari's government during the first time. And so that exercise of influence was clashing with that of the First Lady. You are also a woman. If I were to be your husband and I'm the president of Nigeria, would you ever be happy for you to just be relegated and maybe somebody is supposed to be an uncle to you, or maybe a very an uncle to me.
Relegating her.
Is now the one assuming all the roles you are supposed to be taking charge of. So I think there was a time people had to invite the wife of the president to ask her, is something wrong with you? Your husband is the president and you are here. Are you only meant to be seen and not to be heard at all? So certain suggestions, advice started coming into the head of the wife of the president. Now she now felt, it is true. I am the wife of this man. I am the first lady of Nigeria. I don't think I deserve to be relegated in my husband's government. So let me fight for my rights. And that was when the fight began. And that fight actually led to the ousted of the Mama Daura's family from Aso Rock during the latter part of the president's first term. The Mama Daura's family was out of Aso Rock. I understand that Mama Daura was asked to leave and he had to leave. And we saw some videos, there are some videos on social media where the first lady had to be dragging. She had to be dragging it with her family and all of that, that they should allow her to exercise the influence of her office. Now this is the second term. During the ending period of Mr. President's first term, you realize that the Mama Daura's influence came down. There was nothing like Mama Daura again. In the last 2 years of President Muhammadu's first term, that was when the first lady now decided to take charge. Now that the president is in the second term again, I think the influence of Mama Daura was coming up again. Against that of the first lady.
All right.
And now, Mama Daura, because of the influence, the personal influence he has on the president himself, because I understand they've been childhood friend, Mama Daura has so much influence and contributions to how the president became, has become who he is. So the president respects him and maybe has soft spots for him. So the president always, wants to stay aloof, as I understand. He wants to stay aloof. He doesn't want to offend the wife, and he doesn't want to offend his age-long friend.
Let's start with that age-long friend issue now. You talked about him having a soft spot. Now,
he has a soft spot for him.
He had a soft. Is it not the issue that Aisha Buhari is trying to bring? Don't you think that this personal influence on the president is worrying?
It is what we are saying. How can you be the wife of a president and you will not allow to be relegated to the background for another family to be enjoying the right of your own influence? And meanwhile, don't forget that in the culture of the North too, women are only allowed, in quotes, culturally, to be seen and not to be heard. But the wife of the president now wants to be heard. She wants to exercise the influence.
I would like to go away from the fact of the wife of the president and cultural issues to the fact here of personal influences, affecting the presidency.
With true aggression. The only problem there is this: conflicts in cultures. One, the culture of Hausa, which he has just mentioned. Then you see Aisha Buhari is educated. So there's a kind of vacillation in between Hausa culture and education, Western education.
She's not the type you can put her in the backyard. You can't put her. She doesn't want to be put in the backyard.
With her exposure. Then based on the fact of what somebody like late Miriam Bangida did in the past, I mean, there's no way he can be relegated. And meanwhile, mark you, Buhari is an ardent Muslim person, Islamic person. He believes so much in that Islamic wherever. And at the same time,
no, it's not a fanatic anyway.
I'm not saying fanatic.
It's not a fanatic.
Okay, quickly, please.
And also a family man, and also recognizes roles of Daura in the past.
Certain people in his life,
So there is no how we see that conflict. So it's not left for Buhari himself to now use his own diplomacy and ensure that that area is sorted out so that it doesn't hit up our politics.
Thank you. Sorry, I'll have to cut you short.
Mr. President should define the roles.
Okay.
You are my wife, take this role.
Yeah.
You are my uncle, you do so much in my life, take this role. The uncle should not assume the role of the wife of the president.
Okay.
It is wrong.
All right, party politics here. You talk about a lot of intricacies now, culture, religion, education. But now let's go to party politics here. Let's go over to Edo State quickly. We know of the continuous feud between the former governor of Edo State, and that is, of course, and the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomole, and the present governor of Godwin Obaseki, of Edo State, and that is Godwin Obaseki there. And there's been a lot of clash there, and we know there was supposed to be a rally in, or rather welcoming a member of a former member of the PDP, and that is Osage Ize-Iyamu and his loyalist to the APC, but that rally did not hold. Now, first and foremost, that Oshomole wrote a letter to the IGP, and he acknowledged it, saying that a rally could hold. But according to the deputy the deputy governor of Edo State, that's Philip Shuaibu, he said that the governor was not aware. And this led to the IGP reverting the statement and banning rallies. Meanwhile, the ex-governor said that the rally would hold. But long and short of the story, the rally did not hold in Edo State. And this is causing, this feud has not been now. We've had issues of Oshomole and Obaseki going back to back. Let's hear from Biodun, please.
Yeah, in the first instance, Oshomole on his own part shouldn't have applied for right to the IG, to hold a rally. Okay. The Supreme Court has resolved this issue about people being able to have peaceful rallies and protest, marches and demonstration as long as they are peaceful. The role of the police is to ensure that there is security, is peaceful, and hoodlums do not take advantage of the situation. I want to assume that that's the position. That's what actually propelled Oshomole to write to the IG. The fact of the matter is the governor is the chief security officer of the state. So Godwin Obaseki is strictly responsible for the security in Edo State. Yes, the governor claimed he was not aware, and of course, they are not supposed to have informed him anyway because we live in a democracy. But the truth of the matter is we know they're both in conflict. The godfather and the godson, they are at wars. I know quite very well that the IG took the right decision because there will be violence. You will have one party challenging the other party. And what the IG simply did is to say, look, if you guys won't have a peaceful rally, I will not allow the peace of the state to be disrupted because the police will end up being called, to resolve, to maintain peace. So he took a preemptive position to ensure that that rally did not hold, in line with the desire of the chief security officer of the state, which is Godwin Obaseki. The IG is completely right in this situation. And I'm sure that this may propel a situation where both parties will be forced to come together, and resolve their differences. Okay,
thank you very much. And just to add to it information, now a day before the supposed rally, we had that the factions there between the former governor and governor clashed, and about 14 or 15 people were injured just a day before the rally. And this was also what propelled the IGP to say, rather ban such rallies there. Unfortunately, this is how we'll draw the curtains for today's edition of Editors Forum. Thank you very much, Kayode Salako, Biodun Shomi, and Dr. Dayo Kayode. I don't know whether I should switch your names now. But it's a pleasure having two Kayodes on the show. And of course, to our beloved audience, thank you for always being a part of Editors Forum. And to all those who made today's show a success, I say a very big thank you. So do join us same time, same station next week, God's willing, for another edition of Editors Forum. I am Rita Omodia. God bless Nigeria.